As a preface, sorry that I sound super Irish, Scottish, and or anywhere from the UK. I might have watched both of their channels for multiple hours last night in preparation for this video. A big shout out to Reaper and Despot of Antrim. Sorry if I said either of those wrong. Both of you are big inspirations for making this kind of content. Thank you and enjoy the video.
I just don't know who I am without you.
You're Ken.
But it's Barbie and Ken. There is no just Ken.
This is the profound question in the psychological thriller known as the Barbie movie 2023. I will be saying the Barbie movie from now on. There are many thematic devices in this movie, or propaganda, that it uses through its runtime. I will go over scenery, plotline, which consists of Ken's unveiled portrayal as a villain, the depressing ending, and the praise of this woke nightmare by the propaganda, the journalist class. Before all of that, I must get out of the way that if this movie was about actual equality, then I wouldn't even be making this review. But this movie isn't about equality, it's about men being the perfect simps that must blindly nod and robotically act for their female overlords. Now, on to the review. When you watch The Shining, you can feel the existential dread just by overseeing the landscape. It zooms in, crawling up to the oasis that the family was promised, only to soon find that it is the end of their happy existence. Let's see how the Barbie movie uses the same thematic device. All over, there's hyper-femininity. This isn't necessarily a bad thing, but what do the Kens have? They're allowed to do manual labor, such as work on cars and help hold the groceries. And, of course, there's the occasional dance number where they are, of course, the backup dancers. Can't have them having any of the spotlight, of course. Roll the clip.
Looking good, Barbie.
Thanks, Ken.
See how none of the Kens have their own personality? All they are allowed to say is, "You look great, Barbie. You look beautiful, Barbie. You're such a great dancer, Barbie." Are they allowed to talk about their own interests? Are they allowed to talk about anything they might care about? Sports, like soccer or football? Anything at all? No. Absolutely not. That is not allowed in the beautiful, perfect utopia that is a Barbie, who probably is best friends with Anita Sarkeesian and Zoe Quinn at this point. They are allowed to work out and maintain their physical physique. God forbid that there be any fat Kens, although there are overweight Barbies. Or else you will just be seen as a loser outcast, which is Alan, the only non-conventionally attractive male in the entire movie. Notice how he isn't even that different from the average male. He's just not overly buff. He might look a little nerdy, but other than that, there is nothing wrong with him. But he is
that she was played with
like
roughly in the real world and ended up weird in Barbie
land.
Land.
Thrown in the dumpster. Everyone knows all men worth a second of attention clearly must be 6 foot at a minimum, make $100,000 a year, and be attractive. The bin is where the ugly Kens go, after all. There's even a reference to this with the quote-unquote weird Barbie, who claims
Humans, we're fine.
And Alan.
Come into my weird house. Hi, I'm Weird Barbie. I am in the splits. I have a funky haircut and I smell like basement.
Oh my god, I had a weird Barbie.
Yeah, you did.
You make them weird by playing too hard.
This makes the dystopian nightmare of the Barbie movie even more horrifying. Do the writers have any idea what little girls do to Barbies in real life? I literally ripped the arms and legs off of one Barbie and switched the heads of 2 other Barbies by ripping them off and placing it on another Barbie. If what the writers say is true, then this is not only a dystopian nightmare, but an eldritch horror where a Barbie can be walking down the street and suddenly have her arms ripped off. Aside from this, the place the 2 main characters make their so-called escape to is San Francisco. Aside from this, the place the two main characters make their so-called escape to is San Francisco, another hellscape. Out of all the places they go to is California. There's so many criminals, shit, and fucking needles laying around that I would never want to go there even at gunpoint. They did get the scene where Barbie gets her ass smacked very realistic. As California has a system of not prosecuting criminals, I'm surprised Barbie wasn't randomly dumped with a bucket of shit by some crackhead. That's the scenery of the movie. Out of the way. Two shitty dystopian nightmares nobody wants to live in. One where everyone can see in on everything you do, and one where people just break in your house anyways. Now, let's look at the plot. Maestro, please cue the spooky music. The plot of the Barbie movie consists of Barbie seeing strange things happening in Barbie Land. So she decides to go to the real world to fix things. The actual plot, though, is Ken's jealousy of Barbie, and why the fuck wouldn't he be jealous? All the Barbies have every single place of power. Barbie, who is literally the ruler of this utopia. Then Barbies are mermaids. Barbie is the president. Barbie is a doctor. What do Kens do again? Okay, let's zoom in and take a peek, shall we? Barbie is everything. A powerful message for children. You should believe in yourself. Now let's see the boy's messaging. He is just Ken. That is all. Even the black Ken is just Ken, again, with the color change, just like, I guess, Velma, or many other mainstream characters. Even this Barbie gets her own name, Midge, and he's just another Ken. A useless piece of shit Ken that nobody cares about. Do they need credentials? No, they're Barbies. Shut up, you misogynist. Also, Ken has 0 positions of power, unless you count that one Ken who's dressed as a lady, who we can call, a Tim. There's even one scene where Ken takes off his shorts and he has no genitals. Not only are the Kens slaves, but they are slaves subject to genital mutilation, unable to feel sexual gratification as a last string of hope for some form of happiness. Also, shut up, misogynist. All men should be enslaved and castrated. What are you, a bigot? That's basically the response to the inferiority that Ken sees and feels. He has no purpose other than a buffed out butler. At least real-life butlers have houses. Look at this clip. That implies that the Kens have some sort of slave house that they sleep in, or just sleep outside like neglected dogs.
There are Kens too?
There are many Kens.
Where do the Kens stay?
I love you too.
I don't know.
Don't believe me yet in the things that I'm saying? How about we look at another clip from another show? Yes, it's the shitty gay gem show, but just watch for a minute and then I will edit the dialogue to properly portray the Barbie movie.
Good. Yes, this is adequate. Thank you. You can go now.
What?
That will be all.
How do you get her to leave?
Excuse me, I am not leaving.
Yeah, she's gotta stay and help build the drill thing, right?
No. You're confused. A pearl can't build a thing like this.
Why not?
Because pearls aren't for this. They're for standing around and looking nice and holding your stuff for you, right?
That's enough. If we're going to work together, you're going to have to listen to me.
Listen to you. Did you teach her to talk like this?
What are you talking about?
She's a pearl. She's a made-to-order servant, just like the hundreds of other pearls being flaunted around back on Homeworld.
Wait, there's hundreds of pearls?
Well, yes, but...
And she looks like a fancy one, too.
Hundreds of pearls.
So, who do you belong to anyway?
Nobody!
Then, what are you for?
Now let's write this scene to fit the Barbie movie. I will be using a stereotypical California girl voice for Barbie, and then just my usual monotone voice for Ken. I will also be using a very high-pitched voice to portray the third party. Yeah, this is adequate. You can go now. What? That'll be all. How do you get him to leave? Excuse me? I'm not leaving. Yeah, he's gotta stay and help us, right? No, you're confused. Kens can't do things like this. Why not? Because Kens aren't for this. They're for standing around and doing manual labor and holding your stuff for you, right? That's enough. If we're gonna work together, you're gonna have to listen to me. Listen to you? Did you teach him to talk like this? What the fuck are you on about? He's a Ken doll. He's a made-to-order servant, just like the hundreds of other Kens flaunted around in Barbie Land. Wait, there are hundreds of male slaves in Barbie Land? Unfortunately. And he looks fancy too, doesn't he? So, do you belong with him? Like, are you dating, or do you own him? I don't belong to anyone. So, what's your purpose? He's mine for now, but I can always get a new one. It's Barbie and Ken. It doesn't say which Ken it has to be. Now, doesn't that sound pretty fucked up? Imagine if they put that dialogue in the Barbie movie. They were pretty close to it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out in the sequel. Let's look at another empowered female. I'm sure she will be just as inspirational as Barbie.
Can I keep him as a little friend?
No! No need for friends when you have a job to do. Now stay focused!
Oops, sorry, too vague. That can be any strong and empowered female protagonist these days, from Phoebe Waller-Bridge punching Indiana Jones in the face, to She-Hulk being perfect and a million times better than Hulk without even trying, despite over a decade of his practice, self-acceptance, and literally trying to off himself because he hates the monster that he has become. But hey, Barbie is just as dismissive of Ken as Phoebe Waller-Bridge is to Indiana Jones, as Rey Palpatine is to Luke Skywalker. Doesn't that sound absolutely batshit insane? But it's true. When Ken, Barbie's literal boyfriend, wants to accompany her on the trip of a lifetime which could be dangerous, she just scoffs and asks why he's even there. She even sees this as ridiculous that he even has the audacity to come along by being dismissive towards him. Does that look like the eyes of a caring, loving girlfriend to you? I didn't think so. Around the midway, Ken learns about the patriarchy, which is when men rule the world despite many world leaders and company owners being women. But don't think about that, because that contradicts the message. Ken takes this concept to Barbie Land, and the enslaved males rejoice. Finally, they aren't just losers waiting hand and foot on the women. Did they take it too far? Yeah, but they literally did to the Barbies in return as what the Barbies had been doing towards them for the entire time that Barbie Land existed. But somehow the Barbies being completely in charge is beautiful and empowering, while the Kens being in charge is disgusting and oppressive. I'm sure when the Taliban took over Afghanistan and enslaved the women, they said, "Don't worry, ladies, maybe in 100 years or so, you can have civil rights again. Now shut up and get in the kitchen. I'm hungry." Make it make sense. Of course, Barbie saves the day in the end, and the Kens become even more enslaved than before, knowing that freedom will never come for them, despite the Barbies' reassurance that maybe next time they'll give them a chance. This is very similar to the ending of American Psycho. Roll clip.
There are no more barriers to cross. All I have in common with the uncontrollable and the insane, the vicious and the evil, all the mayhem I have caused and my utter indifference toward it, I have now surpassed. My pain is constant and sharp, and I do not hope for a better world for anyone. In fact, I want my pain to be inflicted on others. I want no one to escape. But even after admitting this, there is no catharsis. My punishment continues to elude me, and I gain no deeper knowledge of myself. No new knowledge can be extracted from my telling. This confession has meant nothing.
Nothing Patrick Bateman did ever mattered in the end. We don't know if it was real and covered up by the elite class or some schizophrenic fantasy. He acted out in absolutely manic, insane ways to escape the box of monotony. Did it matter? No. He resigns himself to this bland nothingness, assumedly just becoming a shell of himself and giving up on life entirely. Ken's story arc follows the same route, and Barbie quote-unquote saves Barbie Land from Kendom, which is what the Kens call Barbie Land when they take over. The Kens are once again subjugated, even more so than the last time. This is because their female overlords know the Kens actually have brains and minds of their own, along with free will, and won't allow their male slaves another chance to revolt again. Ken allows himself to become Barbie's simp again and submit as he is powerless to stop it at anyways. Either he is tossed in the dump or he obeys. A clear sign he never had a real choice. But wait a moment, then why are there so many amazing critic reviews? Simple. Many journalists realize that fathers taking their daughters to a movie that shows half of the population as being nothing more than castrated slaves is a bad look. So now they're running a campaign saying why it's men's fault for not wanting to be slaves to women, and the idea of an egalitarian style of equality is actually misogynistic and sexist. One example of this is the government-sponsored media NPR, in which says, sometimes corporate propaganda can be fun as hell. Yeah, really relating to suburban families everywhere with that one. Or how about NBC? The Barbie movie ushers bimbo feminism and hyperfemininity into the mainstream. I can't wait to see NBC's next article, Women Should Travel Alone at Night in Chicago. I'm sure it will end swimmingly.
Morning. Now, since Friday night, there have been at least 6 people who have died from gun violence, and the latest one happening this morning in Little Village. Now, that is just the latest in a string of shootings taking place here in the city.
This is all to avoid the fact that this movie is a propaganda piece marketed subtly to not give off the fact that it is targeted towards manipulating the minds of children, to tell them that men wanting to be masculine and be the head of the household is disgusting and wrong. But if a woman wants to dress like a bimbo, she can. If she wants to be the president, she can. If she wants a male slave who is castrated, she can. Sorry, little Timmy, but men have had it too good for too long, so you must suffer for the sins of the father. But probably not if your father is taking you to the Barbie movie. He is already cucked. Let's just say it's the inherent sin of being born as a male. So yeah, that's my review of the Barbie movie. A dreadful nightmare where we see a downtrodden man try to escape only to be further enslaved by a female ruling class. Isn't that inspiring? Yeah, no. Don't waste your time and go watch Oppenheimer instead and actually learn something. Thank you to all of our patrons for sponsoring this video. I have to start paying student loans next month, so I really do appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.